some say that diverse entrepreneurs actually perform better when they're given the right resources and the opportunity, because they've had to operate for so long with so little that they're able to do more with less. And if I'm an investor, that's exactly the type of entrepreneur I'm looking for. Someone who's resourceful, someone who's scrappy, someone who's gritty, literally make $1 out of 15 cents. My name is Benjamin Vann. I'm the founder and CEO of Impact Ventures based in Dallas. We believe genius is everywhere, however, access and opportunity is not. You can't be what you can't see. Oftentimes, people can't see a path for themselves in certain spaces, especially economically when it comes to building businesses that create jobs, create wealth for themselves and their families. And so Impact Ventures steps in the gap to provide that critical education, community, a sense of belonging, but also the critical resources like capital and mentorship. I feel like I'm a servant entrepreneur at heart. If I could change my title from CEO to servant leader, I definitely would do that. Maybe I should do that. Service is definitely something that's a bedrock and foundation of my life that was embedded at an early age. You know, my mother and father were in ministry. I like to say I was born in the pew. They were also entrepreneurs. It was definitely profound to see these two pathways of entrepreneurship and ministry. It was always entrepreneurship that always was like the net, the safety net, you know, for our family. I was always this businessman in the making. You know, I would carry a little briefcase like my dad. Because of entrepreneurship and that being the constant thing that helped our family create economic mobility, afforded me to go to private school in high school. It was a huge culture shock where I was probably one or two, black, males in the whole school. It allowed me to see an environment where there were no ceilings and there were no limitations, and the world was your oyster. My dad is probably one of my biggest heroes and examples in life. I remember, and I think it was a brief conversation we were having around, moving to Texas. And he said that this glass ceiling, in Texas was higher, for a black man than in Kansas. What I took away from that conversation was why there was a ceiling that even existed. So I went to college on a football scholarship and academic scholarship. I knew I wanted to pursue business, and so I quickly followed behind my parents and moving to Texas to find an opportunity that landed me in the investment versus being called directly into ministry. But I feel like the work that I do is changing lives, and at the end of the day, that's ministry. I was at this particular company for about 3.5 years. Outside of work, I was leading an organization that focused on retaining African-American talent in the DFW area. I was able to see firsthand the opportunities that I would say lacked for particular entrepreneurs of color and small business owners. I started to feel less and less inspired and motivated by the work that I was doing kind of in my 9 to 5. So from there, worked in different spaces and different industries to really understand, looking at capital from different perspectives, and the lack of representation that I saw, knew that I was onto something that was definitely needed. It was needed in the market in terms of visibility, representation, and just opportunities. It was March 6th, 2016, where I was laid off from a role. It was like everything just kind of sped up and was like, okay, it's go time. I was a rising star in the investment world, had got, 30 under 30, I was just doing all these amazing things. And in that moment, it was either sacrifice and, live out of my car while I built the business. And that's something that I did. And many folks didn't even know at that time. So in the early version of Impact Ventures, we were really focused on physical spaces, right? Co-working, membership, because oftentimes when you're walking through life, constantly going into environments and spaces where no one looks like you, it creates a challenge for you to connect to individuals, right? And if there's no connectivity to the individuals, then there's no opportunity. Our work today includes entrepreneurship training programs, our Next Wave program that focuses on entrepreneurs across the country that are building high growth, high tech, and consumer product-based businesses. We like to say if capital is oxygen to a business, then our communities are suffocating. So we work with banks, financial institutions, foundations, impact investors who want to see a return on impact. How many lives were changed through this program or through this resource? How many jobs were created from the business? So we have an 8-week capital readiness program that teaches entrepreneurs around the core principles of finance. It doesn't matter what service, product, industry that you're in. At the end of the day, everyone has to count the money. And so we've been able to successfully award to date over $2 million in capital into these entrepreneurs with a goal to invest $20 million over the next 10 years. We've supported 261 entrepreneurs through that program, and they've created over 478 jobs. The impact that that has on me as a father and how I want to raise and develop and nurture my kids is really comes back to allowing them to see the legacy that I'm leaving in real time that is different than or contrary to what the media may portray, about people that look like me. And so for them having that representation and that exposure is everything that drives the work that I do today. It goes back to that cliche saying that, service is the rent we pay for our time here on earth. How many lives did I change, and how did I treat people, and what opportunities did I open doors? Those are the seeds that are going to live on for generations to come.